Hey, everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Reality, and I'm joined with Liz Cross. How are you today, Liz?
Oh, it's a beautiful day today. Perfect weather. Leaves are falling off the trees. It's crisp. It's clear. I love it.
It's hard to believe Halloween is just around the corner or just past, but I wanted to see if you could talk to some of these women doctors from 1885 in their various fields. This is a very unique gathering of women doctors, especially at the time, and just maybe talk to them and hear their story.
Oh, wow. Yes. Yes. And find out how difficult it was being a female doctor in the time period. I
Do they
have
come
them
through
here.
together, or are they one more prominent than the other?
I've got all three of them here. Um, so the lady on the left from India, she was actually a surgeon.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that fantastic? And she had a difficult time. She constantly had to prove herself that she was as good as a male, and she knew a lot of techniques. She had really great intuition, um, which as a doctor you have to have. You form your intuitive abilities. You have to learn how to read people. You have to learn what works, what doesn't work, how to deal with people. But also during her surgery, she's telling me she would just intuitively know if something was going to go wrong, and she would immediately patch it up or fix the problem. She was very good at that.
What type of surgery did she perform in that era?
So she did a lot of like women's surgery at that time. A lot where they was it like the modern day? It was like the modern day C-section. It was the modern day C-section. That's what she was doing.
And did she have other incarnations as a female doctor? I mean, where did that intuition that she got come from?
Yeah, she's been a doctor in many lifetimes. And I feel, did you have, she has another lifetime. Are you on the earth plane? She's on the earth plane now. So this is part of her soul that I'm talking to, but she's actually a doctor on the earth plane now. Very successful one.
What percentage of her soul is communicating with you right now versus is incarnating on the earth plane?
Ooh, a very, very small fraction, like 2%.
Which side? Now or here with us?
Um, that I'm communicating with. So
Interesting.
yeah. Yeah. So you see how the lifetimes are just little bitty blips on the timeline. I mean, I'm surprised that we've even got 2%, to be honest with you. Lifetimes are just, minuscule in comparison to what the entire soul holds. Yeah.
Let's talk to Dr. Okami from Japan. What was her position?
She was a children's doctor, so a modern day pediatrician.
How did she get interested in medicine?
Oh, from a very young age, a very young age. And I believe somebody in her family was also a doctor.
Did they have any type of herbs that they used or acupuncture that they used, or what did she do for children that was more womanly than less like the men? How did her practice differ?
I don't feel it did differ very much, other than children were more receptive to her as opposed to a male doctor. Male doctors could, be quite scary when you come across them. You want to put the patient at ease, she says. And so she was very gentle, but she also could understand and identify with the concerns of the parents as well, like distressed mothers who were extremely worried about their children. And so she would try to calm their fears also. But she also struggled as a female doctor. Again, same theme I'm getting like the Indian doctor, which is, she had to prove herself, and she had to go above and beyond what a man could do. If a man saw 10 patients, she would have to see like 15 patients. She would have to always do so much more to prove her worth as a doctor.
Yeah, I'm taken by the way that the doctor from Syria is dressed. It seems like she's more embracing that aspect of how I imagine women dressed at that time and isn't as conservative as the other two doctors. So what was her position as a doctor in her land?
She was a female doctor. Like, so again, really just about assessing pregnancies, making sure the mothers were okay, pregnant mothers, anticipating difficult births. She really was very instrumental in that. um, Making sure the mothers are taking care of themselves, looking for things like swollen feet and swollen hands. That obviously she says now is a sign of something wrong. Preeclampsia, which it wasn't known as preeclampsia in
Right.
those days. Diabetes, like monitoring what they were eating, making sure that they were getting nutrition. She also did a lot by way of making little packages for these pregnant mothers and making sure they were getting, nourishment. Also looking for abuse in the home, even though women were not allowed to speak out about the abuse. But, she really, her job was to protect the baby and the pregnant mother. So if the woman was being abused, if there were signs of like bruises and things like that, and she said you can tell by their demeanor, they're very, shaken and neurotic almost, walking on eggshells all the time and living in fear. She would try to tell the males, please, if you want your baby to be healthy, you have got to stop behaving like this. So that was her role. And she was very personable. She was very accepted, actually, as a female, doctor. But I don't feel she had a real qualification. I
I feel
feel,
like more midwifery, yes, for her is the
yes.
impression that I got. How do they feel that the uh, births in hospitals have changed the way that mothers bond with their children?
Well, they're all for births in hospitals, and they understand that, excuse me, that it could cause bonding issues, but ultimately their their main focus is on the health of the baby. So overall, births in hospitals are healthier according to them, not me, not Mr. Reality. We're not medical doctors. This is not professional advice by any stretch of the imagination. It's only entertainment. But according to them, they believe that births in hospitals are much more healthy and better for the babies, because that's their main concern.
I want to know about this gathering. Where was this and how did they communicate? Did they speak together? Did they Yeah, ask them that since they all have different languages.
Did you? I mean, they were able to communicate a little bit by just hand motions. Effectively, they were all sort of doing the same thing. And so they would just shadow one another. But the Indian lady, now she was really instrumental in telling the other two, like some of her things that she would do when there was a difficult birth, right? She was very innovative. And yeah, so they did communicate the best that they possibly could.
Did they have any access to manuscripts? Did they learn from the manuscripts? Or, I mean, I want to know about their upbringing and how they became in the positions that they were in, because it's quite a feat back then to be in this position of authority in this role.
It was all really hands-on training. It was all from when they were young, hands-on training. And they just really felt so passionate about it. I mean, that's what they always wanted to do. Most doctors, probably if you ask them, or like airline pilots, or whatever, there's a certain spark, this passion. They didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm an adult now, I think I want to be a doctor. They're prepping and planning for this long before they're adults. And so for these ladies, they were pretty much hands on from very, very early ages. They were assistants, helping their family members. It was all learn as you went along.
How did it help their ascension path to be party to and witness to so many births and bring those births into the world, those children, babies into the world?
Well, that was their sense of purpose. That was what they loved. That was what they lived for. They often sacrificed their own families, time with their own families in order to help others have families, right? So it was a lot of hard work, and I'm picking up that their children, certainly the Indian doctors' children, they did not want to be doctors. I'm saying, to what about the Japanese lady? No, the lady from Syria, her family did follow in her footsteps, but it became, for the other two, it was a profession that you hated because mom, was never home. They were never home. They were never available. They were always running here, there, and everywhere. People were always knocking at the door. We need you. We need you. And oftentimes they didn't receive a lot of payment either. So it wasn't about, like today's standards. Our doctors, certainly over here, are very well paid. It wasn't about payment. You took what you got, and it was about service to the community.
They mentioned a sense of purpose and moving towards that. I think some people listening may feel like they've lost their sense of purpose on this incarnation. So, what advice can either or all of them give to that and people that might be feeling like that out here?
Well, you have to do what's right, and you have to just keep going and going and going. Your sense of purpose is not going to come to you. They said you have to go find it, and you have to keep searching until you find it. And you should never give up the search.
Okay, how about another one of them? Same question.
So that was a collective. But
Oh, they all spoke as one. Sorry.
yes, yes, that was a collective answer. They knew their sense of purpose because they were born into it. Uh, they didn't have to choose this life. They could have just been, stay-at-home mothers had children, but that wasn't enough for them. It was about having that level of fulfillment, having that being needed, um, servicing the community. So you just have to keep searching.
How about the doctor from India? I'd like to ask her what people can do on the earth plane to further ascend. And, I mean that to raise their frequency levels down here.
It's all about karma, she says. It's about putting out as much good karma as you can. Now, does that mean you abandon your boundaries to put out good karma? No. It means that you still have boundaries in place, but you still put out good karma. Now, I understand what she means by that, because some people think good karma is letting the others run all over them and they never
No.
stand up for themselves, right? That's not accurate. You have to be firm, but you can also do something every day just to put out the good karma, whether it's a smile to someone else, a kind word, making someone feel good. And you just have to constantly do that.
How about the doctor from Syria? What does she feel people can do on a daily basis to raise their frequency?
Well, for her, she says it's about service and commitment and being committed to those around you. And you may not actually see an energy exchange or an immediate benefit, but it's knowing that the universe will reward you in other ways. Now that's the philosophy I've always lived by. I know that the universe will always reward me no matter what. And you have to trust that.
And finally, Dr. Okame, how do you feel that people can raise their frequency down here on the earth plane?
Well, for her, she says education. She says you have to be educated and you have to go with what works for you, that resonates with you. Not everybody can be of the same educational level, but you should never stop striving to learn something new.
Doctor, thank you so much. And Liz Cross, thank you so much for bringing that message forward to people. If you haven't signed up for Liz's Patreon, I don't know what you're waiting for, but it's patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond. We'd love to see you over there. And Liz, hey, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was great.